The movie opens with Lydia welcoming viewers to her show, Ghost House, where she explores the intersection of the living and the deceased. She introduces guests who have been troubled by a haunting in their new home. As Lydia deals with the ghostly guests, it becomes clear she is struggling with her own issues. She appears somewhat disillusioned and is coping with the pressures of her job, while she is haunted by the ghost of her past, Beetlejuice. Lydia stepped away for a moment of solitude, discreetly popping pills and concealing them from her boyfriend Rory, a sharp-eyed producer who only became aware of her secret after indulging it himself. Just then, an urgent message from her stepmother Delia appears. Rushing to find Delia, Lydia's heart raced, only to be met with the devastating news. Her father Charles had a plane crash. He had managed to survive the crash, only to meet a far darker fate at the jaws of hungry shark. Lydia's artist is then sucked into the afterlife, where a janitor doing his job gets electrocuted, causing boxes to fall, merging every part of her body into one. And Delores returns, looking for Beetlejuice as his ex-wife, while the poor janitor suffers as his soul is sucked out. We then meet Lydia's daughter Astrid, who struggles to find her place at school, feeling like an outsider among her peers, a consequence of her mother's past. She is sensitive to the supernatural, and she shares her mother's psychic abilities to see ghosts, but she doesn't know yet. However, Delia comes collectively with Lydia and Rory to her school, bringing bad news about her grandfather, whom she values more than the rest of her family. Beetlejuice toils away in the afterlife department, surrounded by his quirky colleagues, including the ever-charming Bob. One fateful day, the Wolf Jackson from the Afterlife Crime Unit, a theatrical soul who adores striking a pose for the cameras. He calls Beetlejuice because there is a soul sucker from the Lost and Found named Delores, who has returned and is causing chaos, wanting to warn Beetlejuice to be careful. As the funeral takes place, Astrid reveals in a conversation with her mother that she doesn't believe in Lydia's story about non-existent ghosts and claims that Lydia is making everything up, calling her a fraud. Charles then appears, searching for his path in the afterlife while Delores is gathering a new victim. Beetlejuice strolled back to his office and began recounting a wild tale from his youth as a grave robber, where he crossed paths with the enchanting Delores. They fell for each other, but little did he know Delores was the leader of a soul-sucking death cult, driven by an insatiable desire for immortality, a quest that crucially involved his very soul. Their love story took a dramatic turn that severed their ties with a swing of an axe. With the weight of sorrow hanging in the air, he knelt before Lydia at the funeral and proposed to her, convinced that is a perfect moment to do it, and she said yes to a Halloween wedding. Meanwhile, Astrid was grappling with disbelief. Seeking clarity, she hopped on her bike, hoping the wind would whisk away her confusion. However, her escape took a chaotic turn as she wove through traffic before crashing into a tree. She stumbled upon Jeremy. She shares her sad family story, and Jeremy praises her mother as a legend, inviting her to crash at his place again tomorrow. Wolf continues his search for Delores, while Beetlejuice defends himself against her and uses Bob as a decoy so that Bob gets hurt instead of him. Back at the haunted house, Delia captures the perfect primal scream for the collective. Lydia explains that the ghosts from her past found a loophole and moved on from the house. Then she finds a flyer for Beetlejuice in the attic and warns Astrid to never say his name. After this, Astrid exits the house while Lydia practices breathing exercises and feels Beetlejuice's presence. Astrid goes to Jeremy's and finds a book called For the Recently Deceased, which Jeremy says he got from a yard sale. Rory discusses the wedding dress with Lydia, which she isn't interested in, and she receives spam from Beetlejuice on her phone. She tells Rory about the bother Beetlejuice caused her when she was here, and Rory thinks it's her trauma. He intentionally says Beetlejuice's name 3 times, which leads them to model on the couch at a therapist's office. Lydia is prevented from speaking while Beetlejuice puts on a show, creating laughter through many tricks, including a little Beetlejuice, and Rory believes it's all in his imagination and that he is dreaming. Beetlejuice wants to marry her, and Lydia says home 3 times, sending them back. Delia buys defanged snakes to perform an Egyptian-style ceremony for undying love, while Lydia wants to leave this house, but is prevented by Astrid, who has met a boy, causing them to block the attic door while staying. Tonight is a Halloween night, and Lydia takes Astrid to Jeremy, who has disguised himself as James Dean, while she dresses as Marie Curie, a French physicist. Jeremy wants them to stay in the house all night instead of going out, after which they get close. And Jeremy reveals that he is a ghost who died 23 years ago when he fell from a tree, so he is stuck in the house and cannot go further than the tree. He convinces Astrid that she can help him return to the living world and promises her that she will see her father. However, Lydia learns that the house has a reputation as a murder house because Jeremy killed his parents. In the meantime, Jeremy creates a door to the afterlife, and with Astrid, who first reads the incantation, they enter just as Lydia arrives to stop them. While Delia performs her ritual, the snakes bite her neck and she falls down. Lydia returns to the haunted house and invokes Beetlejuice as a last resort to save her daughter, who informs her that Astrid is on a soul train, meaning Jeremy will return, and she will be trapped there forever because he wants to trick her into trading bodies. In return, he demands that Lydia marry him, and he signs with her hand, creating a shortcut to the land of the dead. Wolf learns about this, hiring the Ghoul Squad while pretending to be an action hero. Delia wakes up here too, as the snakes that bit her were poisonous, meaning she didn't get what she wanted and is now dead. Astrid discovers that Jeremy deceived her and is taken onto the soul train, during which she sees her father. Delores progresses closer to his office, while Lydia, getting closer to the soul train, manages to save her daughter at the last moment. They narrowly escape only to stumble upon a door mistakenly positioned next to the ominous sandworm. Just when hope seems lost, Richard swoops in to rescue them into his modest home in the afterlife. Yet, before they can settle into their reality, a mission awaits. Restoring Astrid's life is next. Meanwhile, Delia, in disbelief of her own demise, summons Beetlejuice to untangle the situation. With his chaotic charm, he aids in bringing Astrid back to the realm of the living. They soon find themselves back in the vibrant world of the living, but Lydia is hit with a sobering realization that her wedding moment draws near, and she must now prepare to tie the knot. They enter the church where Rory is waiting, along with Delia and Beetlejuice, who reveals that Lydia owes it to him to marry her because he saved Astrid. He injects Rory with a truth potion, and Rory admits that he is with Lydia only for the money, receiving a strong punch from her. Beetlejuice sucks all the people into their phones so that no one is left, creating a dress for Lydia. The Ghoul Squad enters and freezes instantly, followed immediately by Delores. Beetlejuice is unhappy to see her, but shows a little sign of attention. Astrid creates a portal using the book, and Sandworm, through manipulation, captures Rory and Delores as a perfect couple for afterlife, as they both had secrets behind their marriage. The contract is no longer valid because Beetlejuice broke the code by bringing a living being to the land of the dead, and Lydia repeats his name, causing Beetlejuice to pop up. After that, Wolf leads Delia back to the afterlife where she reunites with her husband. Lydia explains that this will be her last show, after which she will retire to spend more time with Astrid. During the journey, Astrid meets a boy with whom she immediately marries and has a child who is a little Beetlejuice. After this, Lydia wakes up from her nightmare, realizing that Beetlejuice is still not giving her peace. Ultimately, Lydia manages to pull herself together, transforming her sorrow and trauma into strength. Lydia choosing to let go of her past and fully embrace her future alongside her daughter, a true reflection of growth from her chaotic origins. The self-aware, comedic spirit of Beetlejuice remains intact, highlighting love, family, and the lasting impact of those who have gone on ahead.